As its name suggests, the pastel tone range contains Luxima's most pastel tones. The pastels are best used on a base with depth levels of 9 to 10. The pastel tone range also contains substances to counteract yellow tones. So if you are using the tones on hair with a depth level of 10, the tones will be significantly more intense. You can also use the pastel tones to pastelize and tint the tones in the blonde tone range. The base for the pastel tones is lighter than for the blonde tone range, so by mixing pastels with the light colors, you can add intensity to the tones while tinting the mix to be slightly lighter. The first 3 tones on the color charts are the most intense pastel tones, so be careful with them in the first few times you use them. If you are using the tones on their own, try mixing them 50-50 with clear tone so that you can get to know the character of the tones better. As its name suggests, blue sky is blue. Blue sky is the most intense of the pastel tones, and in a clean base, it shows up as a bright and intense nuance. Use alone, with a clear tone, or mix the tones in the blonde tone range. An intense pastel lavender tone. As lavender is a very strong pastel tone, just a 1/3 mix of lavender with a light tone will give hair a clear lavender shade. Be more careful the first few times you mix so that you can learn the character of the tone. Use alone, with a clear tone, or mix the tones in the blonde tone range. Mint is a tone that is true to the base. As the pastel tones already contain substances that counteract yellow undertones, mint is also a tone that is true to the base. When used in a warm, yellowy base, the color is a clean mint. When used on a clean or cool base, mint has a very turquoise base. Use alone, with clear tone, or mix the tones in the blonde tone range. A pinkish pastel shade that stays bright on any base, but doesn't lean too much towards pink. Rose has a clearly softer pigment than blue sky, lavender, or mint, and it shouldn't necessarily be mixed with clear. If you would like a softer rose, use a shorter processing time rather than using the clear tone. Use on its own or mix with the tones in the blonde tone range. A muted mix of cool and warm pigment for fantastic bright peach results. The second warmest pastel tone in the pastel tone range. Like rose, peach does not need to be mixed with the clear tone, and along with apricot, is the tone with the most delicate pigment. Use on its own or mix with tones in the blonde tone range. The warmest pastel tone in the pastel tone range, and can be used to create different apricot tones in light hair. Like peach, apricot is a very delicate and soft tone and should not be mixed with clear tone to avoid drowning the pigment in tint. Use on its own or mix with tones in the blonde tone range.